It feels like no matter what genre, there's always a sort of musical throwback out on the market. Welcome to Right Rono Does Music, where today we're taking a look at the new album from Cane Hill called Too Far Gone. It is their second studio album, I believe, and it draws a lot of influence from nu metal acts, mostly the popular act Korn, and I found a lot of similarities to their newest album, Serenity of Suffering, in particular when it came to the sound influence and just other elements found throughout the album, which I'll get into in just a moment. They take the inspiration and nu metal stylings and seem to combine them with metalcore, which it's a fusion you would expect to see a lot, even in today's market, but especially about 10 years back, but you never really saw any band go for that. But these are the first band, they are the first band, excuse me, to really do this in a sort of record label light. There's probably numerous local bands and smaller acts that have tried this formula, but to the best of my knowledge, Cane Hill is the first one on a sort of major label to accomplish this and do this. I heard of the band when they released the singles for this, of course, on their YouTube channel, for the record label that they're on, but they didn't really stick in my own head until I saw them perform at WWE NXT's TakeOver event, a spot that was previously held by the band Code Orange, and WWE just sort of likes to incorporate a lot of musical acts lately. There have been, just at this past WrestleMania, there was Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, there was the guitarist from Alice in Chains. They're really bringing well-known and not-so-well-known artists in the music scene to that stage and offering them a lot of exposure. So that's what really brought Cane Hill back to the front of my mind, and I found out that they actually released this album, Too Far Gone, and I figured, hey, why not sit down and give it a shot, give it a go. Off the bat, when it comes to the title track, Elijah Witt, the lead singer for the band, his voice and delivery caught me and just immediately hooked me. There is a very stereotypical voice to expect in nu metal and especially metalcore, but metalcore is one of the very few genres within the music scene that I sort of look at and welcome and accept this sort of stereotypical sound. I'm usually a fan of, variants, especially in post-hardcore and my normal genres. But when it comes to metalcore, there's really only one type of voice that I feel consistently works, and to see the lead singer here use that just immediately made me very more interested within the song and, of course, the rest of the album. Concerning the music and how it feels like he's telling the stories from song to song, Elijah is somebody who uses this consistency to the best of his ability and continues it, not just in the title track, but also Lord of Flies. It's very basic and formulaic, but manages to produce an atmosphere, and it almost feels industrial with the instrumentals that are involved here, as even the guitars sound like they're almost whirring in a very dissonant style that I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it in particular, but it did, after several listens, it did start to sound good, and it started to sound like something I could go back to and enjoy. The singing almost feels separate from the instruments themselves as well, but the guitars in particular drew my attention in the first half of the album in particular to now focus on a single element from the band. James Barnett sort of displays influence from a lot of early 2000s and late 1990s bands and artists with the swooping sounds, if that makes any sense with the guitar, sort of like he's just swooping up and down. It looks like I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing on YouTube. With the way he's just sort of running his hands over the frets on the guitar, it really produces an interesting sound that I'm quite, very much enjoying. I'm not awake enough for these reviews. As great as these guitars are, something that I do have to point out in a bit of negativity is that a lot of these sounds, well, there's no way to sugarcoat this really, they sound the same. And that's a really unfortunate thing when you get a couple tracks like Lord of Flies, Too Far Gone, and they sound so individual at first listen. You're ready for the rest of the album. You're ready to be further blown away and experience more moments like that where you just get taken away and immersed within the music. But unfortunately, it's a lot of the same types of ideas over and over again. Erased had a very good opening bit, and it got me excited, a little pumped, nodding my head sort of deal going on there, but then the slow part hit, and I feel like this might be a little extreme here, but I'm just going off of what's in my script. I kind of got hit with that same feeling of disappointment when Suicide Silence dropped their song Suicide, where you get an introduction that's very is just hyper energy, and you feel like it's going to burst out into this moment that's just gonna stand out on the album and be the thing you go to this album specifically for, and it just sort of, it slows down and just takes all the momentum out from under your feet. There's nothing wrong with slower songs, especially in metalcore. I feel like slower songs really built the fan base for those who were already in similar music scenes, and for people who were way on the other side of the music spectrum. Slow metalcore songs are a very good aspect of the scene, but Erased just isn't that. The song Why feels like it's going through an identity crisis almost. The lyrics switch up from a simplistic chorus that just feels very copy and paste, very written down just to get the chorus taken apart, and then the verse just absolutely burns right through. I love the verse. It's something that, it's actually a reason why I put Cane Hill on one of my playlists, but just putting that up against the chorus, it's like you're getting thrown back and forth from one speed to the other, and it's very musically disorienting. I believe I've used that term before, and I hope that sort of makes a bit of sense there when I use it. There's not that consistency at all in this band, even with Elijah Witt, again the lead singer, showing off his very definite metalcore voice. It doesn't mesh well with all the other elements sort of rushing to catch up with each other and then just ending up being a couple steps behind. Follows also tries to come off as the anthemic song of the record, sort of along the lines of Chucky versus the Giant Tortoise from Dance Gavin Dance, or In Like Flynn from The Bunny the Bear. But when you listen to the song through and you look at the structure and the lyrics, it just seems very, very desperate in the way it tries to grasp at that, and it's like somebody who's standing at the top of some bleachers at a concert, and they're yelling every word of the lyrics, and they're into it, and they're trying to pump everybody up, and they're like, look at me, I'm full of all this energy, I'm ready, I'm hyped up. But it's just kind of some dude standing at a somewhat tall height who thinks he is pulling off something amazing. It's really not that special. Maybe I'm getting Cane Hill all wrong. Maybe their first album was completely different, and this is a sign of absolute maturity and growth from one record to the next, but I'm just not, I don't really have a drive to do that. I don't have a reason to go back and listen to one album and compare it to this new one, because there's nothing in Too Far Gone that really sticks with me and makes me wish, oh, I wish I could just listen to more from this band and learn how they've grown as a band. There's so many elements that feel short-handed, like, again, the title track, absolutely tremendous. I go back to it repeatedly. In fact, I listened to it a little bit before this review to sort of get into more of a energized state of being here, but just the rest of the album does not keep up with that whatsoever. It's a case where you have the lead singles coming out, Too Far Gone, Lord of Flies, and I think It Follows was also a lead single or a release day single. I'm not entirely sure, and the rest of the album just sort of struggles to keep that momentum going. It was a fun throwback sound at first, but it quickly became tedious to become invested in. We had too many shallow attempts to breathe new life into nu metal, which I don't think that's what they were going for specifically, but it does feel very much like they're standing at the precipice trying to drag up the corpse of a genre that's basically dead. Metalcore flavor, the metalcore flavor, excuse me, is a saving grace, but even that can only do so much to carry the record. So unfortunately, I have to go a little bit low on this one. Cane Hill's album Too Far Gone is getting a 5.7 out of 10. There was just too many elements, and like the song Why, it was just an overall identity crisis that had no idea what it wanted to be. And those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want nu metal to come back and Slipknot to throw on those old ratty masks that I don't think they ever washed? Let me know down in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, share, Instagram it, retweet it, tout it. Don't forget to unsubscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.